This video should have originally been out on International Women's Day, but better late than never I guess. I wanted to make this video to give a little spotlight to some amazing women in K-pop who are overlooked or underrated in terms of producing, writing or self-management. I'm not gonna keep the intro too long, so let's just get into it. Subin or Dal Subin is a former member of Dalshabad and currently a soloist. She is the first female idol in K-pop to produce and co-write a whole album for her group, which included the title track Joker and 4 B-sides. Joker was later banned because the title was a play on words meaning big male genitalia in Korean, and because of the sexy choreography. She also wrote and composed a couple of B-sides for Dalshabad's albums BBB and Naturalness, and wrote and composed almost every song in her solo discography. She recently participated in MBN's variety show Miss Back, which revolves around female idols who made their debut, but were slowly forgotten by the public, and it aims to give them another chance. She's currently a soloist under her own company, and she recently had a comeback with Sign, which is beyond amazing, and I suggest checking it out if you haven't already. She is such a talented and just overall an amazing woman, and she deserves way more recognition. Yuha is a new soloist who made her debut last year. She's a former YG trainee, and you may know her as a pre-debut member of Future 21. Besides writing and composing 2 collabs prior to her debut, she wrote and composed her debut single Island. Her recent comeback A Bit Tipsy, and Victon's most recent comeback What I Said. She's currently preparing for a comeback with more of an acoustic song set to be released in mid-March. She's one of my favorite soloists, and her music is just pure gold. A Bit Tipsy especially, it's literally a god-tier song. Han Choi made her solo debut in 2019 with the single Romeo, and she's a former member of girl groups Aisha and Camilla. She actually founded and managed Camilla, meaning she was their CEO, created her own company, and had the other members signed. But unfortunately it was a short-lived group. They had 2 singles, Red Lips and Take Me Home. She's currently a soloist under her own company, and she's her own stylist and manager. She was also an MC for the 2019 Seoul Music Awards, and she was actually heavily criticized because of her quote-unquote inappropriate dress. Long story short, the dress was originally longer, but she thought it looked boring, so she cut the dress up and made it look similar to a bodysuit. She later said she also saw it as an opportunity to promote Camilla, and that she has no regrets wearing it. Honestly, a queen, a legend. You're all probably familiar with the girl group Weekly, who made their debut last year with the title track Tag Me. Ji-yoon, who is the group's lead vocalist and dancer, wrote and composed the intro Weekly Day and the B-side Reality from their debut mini album. And from their second album she wrote Weekly, and wrote and composed My Earth. My Earth was promoted along with their title track Zigzag, and the girls themselves made the choreography for it. They are currently preparing for their 3rd mini album, and on the track list Ji-yoon is credited for writing and composing the B-side Lucky. The comeback is on the 17th, so mark your calendars. GSA or Girls Alert is currently a 3-member group that made their debut in 2017 with the single Dream Girls, which was choreographed by the main dancer Gusao. the girls actually make all the choreographies themselves, along with doing their own hair, styling and makeup. Not only that, but one of the now former members, Seat Bail, actually made the group's logo. You can argue that this much control over their work was both good, because of all the creative input, but also bad, because the girls had no one else to rely on. The company probably didn't have enough resources, and it got worse during the pandemic, when it was announced that the group will continue as a trio and Seat Bail would be signing to a different company. You can probably recognize her since she recently made her debut in Pixie. Because of the pandemic, the group had to halt their comeback plans, but I hope we'll be seeing them soon. ID made her debut in 2016 with a single Sign, and you also may know her from Mix 9. She wrote and co-composed almost every one of her songs, and she's been active for around 5 years. Her concept is mostly retro city pop and her songs are just on another level. I recommend listening to her entire discography, but for starters these are some of my favorites.
You know I love it, right, yeah. Only magic I think, right, yeah. Small shoes and sweatshirt. Oops, oops, keep 빠져가. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight. I won't fall in love. 이렇게 어렵다는 baby.
She's preparing to release an album sometime soon, so you'll better get ready to stream.
Baby, baby, I'm sorry. 이런저런 생각이 나 많이.
Soul made her solo debut in 2017 with her self-written and produced single Ride. Beside writing and composing most of her own songs, she also wrote and composed GKIO's Vacation, Dynamic Duo's Blue, Heartfelt Sweet Sensation, and wrote 1 billion views for EXO Subunit, among others. Her most recent comeback was last year in August. Her voice sounds really soothing, and I love her aesthetic. She deserves so much more. Aaron is a fairly unknown soloist who made her debut in 2019 with a mini album and the title track Puzzle, which she wrote and composed herself, 9 songs altogether. She also co-wrote and co-composed Loveless Twinkle, Like You and Shining Star and From Us 9's Think of You, among others. She didn't release any new music since her debut, but that's understandable since a lot of smaller artists were affected by the pandemic. But anyway, I'm religiously manifesting a comeback. That's all I have for this video. Maybe I'll make a part 2 soon. Also, I just wanna say, by making this video I'm not saying other writers who don't produce or have any involvement in their music are any less of an artist. Not everyone is giving the same opportunity, and honestly they are not obliged to do it either. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Also, happy late International Women's Day. Bye.